The Pac-12 is
our original lead.
Our original bait for Hyena Land.
Yeah,
the Pac-12 could be close to a media rights deal. It depends on who you believe. We have told you in our reporting on this show, and we've pretty much had the exclusive on it for the better part of 6 months now, that we have been talking to sources in the television industry who have been telling us that the Pac-12 is struggling to land a significantly improved television deal to what they have now. We have told you several things, that the CW is likely to be their linear television partner, that streaming will be a significant part of the inventory equation, where most of the athletic events in the Pac-12 will happen will be on stream, and that as far as football and basketball are concerned, the majority of those games will live on the CW. And then a gentleman who we asked for comment, who we did not get a comment, Scott Barnes, did an interview exclusively with the Corvallis Gazette, where Scott Barnes said, I think the goal of the continued exposure on the national level, we hit our goal there for sure, talking about the deal they just got.
Right.
As it relates to the future, I really like the progress we've made. So all of the people, including the genius in the Northwest, saying that the deal is signed, sealed, and delivered, as we've told you, it's not. Scott Barnes confirms they do not have a media rights deal beyond 2025. We're getting closer. We're getting close to the 26 and beyond media deal. They do not have a media deal signed and delivered, as we have reported repeatedly on this show. You have one of the most influential voices in the Pac-12 telling you they do not have a media rights deal for 2026. I won't share any more details as it relates to that or hinting towards that, but let me say that our 26 and beyond contract will have a primary platform, like the CW. It will include free-to-market cable, like the CW. It'll have, we believe, streaming, direct-to-consumer. All of those are being considered, so we're looking forward to getting to the finish line. So just in reaching out to people that we know in the sports television industry, it certainly sounds like ESPN and ESPN Plus on the digital side will be involved. My guess is, and this is what we said, if you go back, it's on the channel. My guess is the 2025 deal is going to look remarkably similar to the 2026 deal and beyond. And my guess is the money is going to be remarkably similar. My question is, if that is in fact the case, because that's what we are hearing, that ESPN Plus and this new ESPN direct-to-consumer app product that ESPN is launching, who's paying for the production of those events? Because what I think is likely to happen is that the Mountain West and the Pac-12, either as a single entity or two different conferences, will wind up very similar to each other, financially and in distribution, because neither one is head and shoulders better than the other as two separate entities.
Right.
That much I think we all would agree upon. Basketball-wise, I think they're going to be very close. Very, very close. Football-wise, I think you're probably leaning a little more towards the Pac-12 because the best program in that entire pot probably is Boise State. I would think you would hope, if you were the Mountain West and the Pac-12, that your membership will do everything it could do to build and grow and scale as a football program, which means win more games. But my guess is, based on what I've been told and people in the TV industry that we've been talking to, I think they're both going to be remarkably similar. I know that both the Mountain West and the Pac-12 have spoken to ESPN about their direct-to-consumer platform ESPN needs the content, frankly. The late windows on the West Coast are limited now. You have ESPN with BYU in Utah. You have CBS and NBC with the Big Ten, the old Pac-12. So when you look at, hey, what's available to us, CBS Sports Network is going to need content. ESPN direct-to-consumer, it's essentially, hey, all of this can go into our direct-to-consumer. They're unlimited bandwidth-wise. It's quite literally just going to be a menu. And anybody that subscribes to ESPN could say, oh, here's Boise State and Gonzaga basketball tonight. Let me watch that.
Right.
So my guess is, after talking to TV people today, I think they're both going to wind up getting a piece of that pie. But what doesn't that deliver? Well, it doesn't deliver $10 million per school per year. It isn't I will continue to beat this drum. The right thing for these two conferences to do is to merge. I believe that will get them to 8, potentially more, but a minimum of $8 million per school per year in a media rights deal. On their own, I think they're somewhere between 4 and 6. Because the CW doesn't pay big money. And the Pac-12 has to produce those games. So there's a lot more costs. So what you're grossing is not what you're netting. I think their best move, I think the best position that the Pac-12 can be in is if the Pac-12 and the Mountain West stay aside, I have asked some of the most powerful people in sports television, hey, what do you think that deal's worth per school per year?
Not a good number.
And the number that overwhelmingly comes back is $6 million.
Which I just don't know how that's viable. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you live off that.
And if you're the Pac-12, you need to understand you're going to have to produce those games. And yes, they have the broadcast facility and really what's a production house down in San Ramon, which is the south end of the East Bay. And it is a lovely facility, is state of the art, but you got to pay for equipment upgrades and maintenance. You got to pay for trucks. You got to pay for personnel. You got to pay for, and that's not cheap. And so the question is, if you're grossing $6 million per school per year, what are you netting? Because when you sign that grant of rights, and when you sign the membership agreement, which again I confirmed today through a source, none of the new members, including Gonzaga, none of them have signed a grant of rights in the Pac-12. So
I don't know. It begs the question, what's Pac-12 going to do to make up the money gap? Because as a conference, you're going to have to make it up somewhere. Because again, I'm just going to keep saying it. These schools didn't jump on board for less money. Nobody jumps on board for less money. And that's exactly what that would be. And
what are the minimum guarantees to these universities? That's going to be the tough part. Is what are the minimum guarantees, and how are you going to make that work? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
And I wonder too, like, are folks like Scott Barnes or any of their leadership in the Pac-12, Teresa Gould, whoever you want to look at, is stuff like, private equity stakes or like create more creative outside of the box ways to bring in liquidity to the conference. Are those things that are being talked about? Because, if it is $6 million gross, and obviously you're doing, performance-based revenue sharing, that's a big deal, dude. Like you're going to have to find a way to be profitable as a conference on some level. I'm not saying you got to be rolling in it, but you got to be profitable enough to run the conference. And I'm just curious how that's all going to work out and how you leave mediation feeling good about things. Because again, we've never doubted that they'll get a media rights deal. It's just a matter of the quality of it, the profitability of it, the amount of money you get per school. And that, I feel like we're in this moment in time with the Pac-12 where it's like, hey, if you come out of mediation poorly, let's say, or positively, and then, if you come out poorly and then, your media rights deal comes up light. Now you've got a bunch of negative momentum and press, versus positively and potentially getting a nice number. So I just think there's a lot on the line here. I think there's a lot on the line for the conference. I think there's a lot on the line for the schools, certainly. And it's no surprise that they haven't signed documents saying they'll join yet, because I wouldn't do that either.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, I think a lot of people took what we talked about yesterday and ran with their imagination. I'm not telling you that people are trying to stay out of the Pac-12. What I'm telling you is there is a lot of insecurity amongst the membership right now, because I think, and again, call it ego or bravado or whatever you want, I think people thought it would be a one-day mediation and everything would be done. And I've asked the Pac-12 and I've asked the Mountain West, hey, is there an update? And it's no comment across the board, which tells me mediation hasn't come to an end. And if that's the case, we're going on day 4. And maybe it has come to an end, and, I don't know. But if mediation is still ongoing, that's not great for the Pac-12, because the Pac-12 voices, and again, you listen to them at your own peril. Pac-12 voices are telling you, slam dunk, dude. We're not paying any poaching fees. It's just a matter of negotiating the exit fees.
Yeah.
That's not the reality. That is not the reality. And I will just continue to say, I think I told Jake yesterday, Pac-12 fan, and I meant to get this graphic and then the Retzloff thing blew up. Pac-12 fan lost their mind. What was that? February, right around my birthday, when I said I had been told by a source close to the Pac-12 that they had spent more than $10 million in legal fees. And I was told by Pac-12 fans that I'm making stuff up and you don't know what you're talking about.
You're dumb.
You don't have sources. Your show sucks. And then yesterday, what did Sportico release? That in 2024, the Pac-12 spent $11.8 million on legal fees.
Oh.
Which is an all-time record for an athletic conference. $11.8 million last year on legal fees. We're halfway through the year, and you have multiple lawsuits that you have not settled yet. Let that sink in, friends. Almost $12 million in legal fees in the Pac-12 last year. And when I told you that I was talking to people familiar with that situation who were wondering, where are we going to get the money to keep paying for these lawsuits? This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. When we're talking about an athletic conference that doesn't have a media rights deal moving forward, spending $12 million on legal fees in 1 year, and you're still neck deep in litigation. That's what I'm, Big Blue Horses, DTC, direct to consumer, is a double-edged sword. You find out real fast how popular you really are, and that can be sobering. I think that there is a real need to have ESPN involved in the TV deals, in the, quote, media rights deals for both the Mountain West and the Pac-12. And it's because it's universally available. If your son or daughter are going to Boise State, you need to be able to watch those games no matter what. Because, remember, the Pac-12 doesn't have a national deal with the CW. They have a regional affiliate deal with the CW.